Hey guys, just a very quick one before we dive into this episode. If you want to learn from SaaS VPs and founders on how to scale in sales, marketing, and customer success with lessons from companies like Atlassian, Olark, Vistia, and way more, you can't miss this event. We're hosting and organizing a summit online just specifically for B2B SaaS businesses. So if you go to https://b2bsaassummit.com, you can register for free to all the sessions that we have. It's going to happen first week of October. I can't wait until it starts, and hopefully I'll see you there. b2bsaassummit.com. Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jeremy, founder of QuickMail.io.
Hey, and this is Jack from emailsthatsell.com. Welcome back to part 2 of the Growth Chat, all about value propositions. We're going to dive right back in. We've got 3 value props that we're going to go over right now. Enjoy. All right, should we turn the table over this way?
Let's do it. So,
all right, who am I?
let's say I'm on Amazon and I have a business, I don't know, like selling bacon, or in my case, actually luxury fruit juicer. And my goal here is to get as much testimonial as I can possibly get. So Amazon favor me with their algorithms and I get to sell more juicer than my competitors, for example.
Cool.
What would be your take on this one? It's a difficult one because it's B2C in a sense.
Difficult only in the sense that we're going to have to restructure who we reach out to since it is B2C.
That's right.
But pretty straightforward nonetheless.
Oh, and let me just add one more complexity here. Is obviously I'm choosing a luxury fruit juicer because that's those things that could cost like $500. I can't really just offer it for free in exchange of a review, right? I can't have like 500 reviews offering those $500, products. So I need to be a bit more, innovative here.
Okay. So let's say it's $500. The first thing that I want to do is take a good look at who the influencers are in my B2C space that I'm in. I'm guessing, since it's a luxury juicer, that these are the more affluent group of people. Let's limit it to the United States.
Oh, come on. Other countries are also wealthy.
There's other countries. So affluent consumer. I'm just going to start in the US because if it's Amazon, they don't ship to Switzerland. So
yeah, that's right.
Affluent American shoppers who are into health and fitness. So let's make it even more specific.
Nice.
I'm going to go after the guys. I'm going to go after men who are spending money on home gyms, on, supplements, on some part of their life is spent both time and money on fitness. They're into it. They got money to support it. They're my best group of people.
Do you know, just as a small parenthesis, that actually fruit juicers are really bad for health?
Oh, yeah. They make everything too sweet, right?
Yeah, and they remove the fiber out of the juice.
That's so true.
It's still a good, perception is that it's fruit, so it must be good.
Yeah. Okay. Jeremy's right. But I think even still that I still have a good grip on who's going to be buying this. So we have our list. So now let's find influencers who are reaching these people, because if we can send a cold email to influencers, then I may be able to easily get this product in front of them.
Oh, and for the audience, who would you think in influencers, like YouTube reviewers or some stuff like that?
I'm thinking Instagram. So
okay,
there's like CrossFit coaches and yoga teachers,
nice.
and even like health chefs that have a huge following. Maybe the chef thing would be even better. But I really want people with an audience that care about healthy eating, and I'm going to reach out to them. Now, I'm going to add one more filter to this prospecting element. They need to have at least 1,000 followers of the right kind of people that I'm trying to go after. So at the beginning of this section here, you said, and keep in mind, this is $500 juicer. I can't just be giving it away to people. I'm going to challenge that. I think if you are, let's say you had a following of 10,000 people spending money in health-related kitchen products, my value prop will be, hey man, what address should I send you this premium freaking juicer? Because I want you to find out if you love it or not. And then if it makes sense, we can have a chat about paying you to promote it. So I'm going to go 2 steps. I'm going to give them the juice for free, and then I'm going to offer to pay them money to get it out in front of their audience, because I don't have a lot of experience with influencer marketing, but I think the game now is like, if you're at a certain level, it's just expected you're going to get paid.
I love it. And at the same time, you're pushing a reciprocity pretty hard here. It's like, hey, I got this new juicer. I would even maybe actually check for people talking about fruit juicers, like, maybe they're...
Good idea.
Or maybe a diet, just, liquid diet, like some stuff like that. Like,
there's a perfect example. There's a Netflix documentary on a guy who started just juicing, and it like helped his health in a lot of ways. I guess people who follow him would be...
Exactly. So I'd be probably like doing something like reaching out to those guys, giving them that for free, then seeing if it leads to something. And if it doesn't, then reach out to them and say, hey, did you enjoy that stuff? And, would you be open to actually promote it? Or is there any problem that, you want me to address first?
So I have something for this here.
Nice.
Now, I'm not so keen on losing $500, assuming that's my cost. It's probably going to be way cheaper, because if I'm selling it for $500, I'm probably making it for $1 and shipping it for $25, whatever. So, but let's say that is my cost. In order to hedge my bet, here's what I would do. I would say this. I would go, hey, before we even talk about what it would cost to pay you to promote this, I'm going to send you the juicer so you can decide if you love it or not. What's the best address I can use? He or she, actually, it's going to be a guy, because I'm targeting guys for whatever reason. He's going to say, yep, here's my address. Cool, thanks. Now, my reply to this is a filtering reply. It's a little like, hey, you should have mentioned this up front, sort of. But this is how I would structure it regardless. I would say, great, I got your address. And just so we're on the same page, before I ship this out to you this afternoon, if you're a fan, if you love the way that this juicer works, can you confirm that you're okay with taking a 15-minute call with me, let's say in 2 weeks, so we can discuss placement for this juicer? And I would wait until they said, yes, that's fine with me, because then we are totally on the same page, and there's no more like sort of blindsided opportunities where they say, hey, I didn't really know you were. So though it's not going to completely remove the risk, I think it will, let's say, make it twice as likely that they will at least entertain a discussion with me.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I'm just wondering which one would work better, like, offering with no expectation. So, playing the full reciprocity, like full fraud on.
Yeah.
Because they will be like, oh, look at that. What especially people who unbox or then do stuff like that. They'll be like, hey, look at that. Someone just offered that for free and looking pretty nice and so on. Or effectively they're just saying like, hey, we're giving you, but we expect you to do product placement with us. The last idea I had, and then you also tell me if this is BS or if you actually like it, would be to actually say, all right, cool, let me send it to you. And then you actually don't send it, and you wait until they come back to you to figure out, like, did they really want it or not, kind of thing. And it's like, oh man, it's been lost in the past. That's sad. Let me just ship you a second one. So it's like double reciprocity.
Interesting. I will tackle the first point here. And what's more effective? Blind reciprocity. I expect nearly nothing back from you. I don't like it as much because these influencers that I'm thinking of, if I do a good job with prospecting, they are currently promoting products. This is kind of an income stream for them.
Oh, I love that. It could actually be working for both, but different audience. So I was thinking more on the YouTube crowd who feel compelled to put some content every day, even for, sometimes it's less quality or some stuff. So, you give them the perfect excuse of saying something that day. So I will look into someone who is actually posting very regularly and has like a lot of views.
Yep.
And then send that to them, because I kind of like make sure that they're going to talk about it, because, nothing on is so crazy in their life that they got something worth talking every day.
Right. Well,
but you're going after the Instagram, the one that actually get paid to place like one picture and then get like 250K, for that picture.
Yeah, I mean, something like that. I just think there is an expectation here where, okay, this is how they're making money. They're, placing products, and in return, they're getting money. So I think they know the game already.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Anyway, someone with more experience, influencer outreach, would know that answer, but that's my hunch.
If we are BSing and you guys know it, just podcast at QuickMail.io, please, and tell us like, Jeremy, Jack, please amend that. This was BS.
Okay. And the last thing is like, I'm getting this because I know in like link building today, it's very expected that you're going to be trading money, dollars for placement of a link here. So let's assume we're right. And for all purposes, the value prop is what's the best address I can use? I mean, again, is it hard to say no to? Is it hard to ignore? Yeah. So I like it.
Love it.
Oh, and you had one last point. It had to do with, hey, it got lost in the mail. I'll send it back to you. Interesting. I think that could work as a filter because if they really were looking forward to it, that'll let you know.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, it would work like that. But if someone is really busy and they're actually getting pitched a lot of offers every week, they may actually just forget about you. It may be nice to do some sort of a hybrid. And maybe if a really good influencer doesn't get back to you in 7 days, ship it to him. Yeah, think about that. Maybe the influencer would be like, well, it's a good juicer.
Oh man, I didn't hear about you, so I ship you a second one.
It could backfire.
And I don't quite like it from an ethical standpoint anyway.
All right, I'm going to turn the tables back to you, Jeremy. Let's say that you happen to be in charge of sales for a really high-end white glove kind of accounting firm that specializes in helping small law firms in Brooklyn, New York. And your goal is to get 10 more new accounts by the end of the quarter. What do you do? What is your value proposition to these small law firms in Brooklyn?
I think the first thing I'll do is reflecting on my life and why, why did I end up there so low?
Okay, and after for the New York-based sales development director for an accounting firm, hang in there. Jeremy is just joking.
No, it's just that this is not my space. That's not my jam, especially like law firm, and it's just like too uptight for me.
Yeah, it's pretty much the most uptight.
Yeah, I feel pretty miserable on a personal side. But of course, work for every taste and every type of people. So that's fine. Understood. All right. So I know nothing about this industry. So that's going to be very difficult for me to nail down the wording and the customer lingo. Maybe they like to be addressed in a certain way. They like, maybe super short email, like no wasting time, or they like all the value up front. It's going to be very difficult for me to know.
You're listening here, and Jeremy has just said that he doesn't know about this industry. I have no idea what he was about to say, but I promise you, knowing Jeremy, there's going to be at least one takeaway here, even though he's coming at from a brand new space. So I've hyped you up, even though this is totally out of left field for you. What's your process?
So the first thing I will think of doing is analyzing my competitors. How are they pitching stuff on their website? Do they pitch speed? Do they pitch security? Do they pitch, seriousness, consciousness, and so on? And then I will pick up one or two influence factor that I think is resonating the most. Maybe it's effectively authority. Okay, so what do we got on authority? Do we already have in our portfolio? For how long? What's your churn? All those sort of things that, makes us stand apart and really show a lot of authority in that field. Did we speak at some trade show? Did we do some keynotes? Or those sort of things that will put me one step, in front of my competition. That's probably the first thing.
Cool. Okay.
The second thing I will do is plan my A/B testing for different strategies. I will pick 3 different strategies and different angle that I want to tackle with obviously different value proposition. One could be to meet in person. Maybe they're in my neighborhood. So I will actually try the firm that are not too far. It's like, hey, we're not too far away. Can I offer you a Starbucks discount, a gift card? So yes, I'm going to rely on bribery. I'm going to try. Maybe it works for a law firm. Maybe I receive like a threatening letter saying like, hey, you can't bribe me, But
what do you mean a gift card? You mean like, hey, meet you for coffee, my treat, that kind of thing? Or just actually...
I would say like, hey, I really want to talk with your firm. I noticed there is a few Starbucks coffee in your area. Happy to offer you a gift card. The only thing I ask in exchange is that we meet. Or not even that, just saying like, full on reciprocity and say, hey, if you're stopping to get coffee on the way, here's a gift card for you. And if you text me in advance, happy to meet you there. And, have a conversation. So, it's on your way to the office. Doesn't take much of your time. Again, it depends on what that crowd is valuing. If they value their time, which is sort of like my expectation or my thinking for law firms that get paid on a per time basis.
Yeah.
Then I will try to make them save as much time as as possible. I wouldn't go like full spy on looking at the firms, just posting in front and then seeing people going in and out and where they're going. But, assuming that they go out for getting a coffee. So if you happen to go out or even better, happy to bring the coffee to your firm, how many employees do you have? So we can go in and maybe have like a 5 minute chat. That's what I'm asking in exchange. Something like that. If I can be a lot more creative if I'm around.
What about this? You mentioned in the previous case study that you would use a referral to get your foot in the door to this company. I'm wondering if both of you are in Brooklyn, there's probably a good chance that you know someone, that you're connected to someone on LinkedIn together. I wonder if you could ask that connector to say, hey, this is so-and-so. They're looking to network with the law firms and they want to treat you to coffee. I wonder if that'd be like a nice 1-2 punch where you have the connection and you're just saying, hey, let me drop off some frappuccinos at the office next lunchtime. That's getting a little bit more difficult to say no to, right?
Yeah, you're bringing a very good point here. There's a few unknowns here, which are, I know nothing about this industry, so I'm starting from scratch. Getting 10 people by the end of the quarter will be like extremely difficult because I have no network at the moment, assuming, I don't know this industry. I don't know people working in this industry.
Right.
So it's going to be very difficult. I was more under the approach of doing the Bloomberg stuff, where that guy was actually just bringing coffee every morning to all the traders and just starting making connection and then understanding what their work was like and stuff like that. So I was like thinking maybe doing the same, but obviously this is again a very long game and you have to be in for, a few years. So getting 10 accounts by the end of the quarter will be extremely difficult using this type of approach. But it could be like, they may be receptive to a different type of bribery. It may not be a coffee. It may be something else. I don't know, like tickets to, concerts.
That's a cool idea.
Whatever, get their jam. I don't really know what those guys are doing. They don't really seem like fun to hang out with. So you're picking up a very difficult industry for me, Jack.
And if you're a lawyer, you're no longer listening. Well, that's good. That's good. I think what you're getting at here is it is in some industries, you should be playing the long game because if you try just cold emailing the partner of the law firm saying, hey, I want to share pricing for accounting services, I think it goes without saying, you'd probably say, nope, bad idea. You probably don't want that.
But maybe it works. So I will still keep it A/B testing. I'll probably use firms that are not necessarily too close to my neighborhood to actually do that.
For testing.
It's like, hey, we're in the same state. I'm happy to drop by and then do stuff. That's okay.
Yeah.
But I probably will use a way more personalized touch email if this is in my same city, for example.
Right.
It's like, hey, I'm just down the street. Would you be okay if we find a way to meet? Or, I want to save you time or I want to save you money, whatever is actually resonating. And I will just build on that because it's fine to play the long game, but we still need to find out value proposition that will appeal to them in a short term. And maybe that is through different offering. I'm just like speculating here, but we may have one big product, but we also may have like smaller product. And maybe there is a way of playing the foot in the door kind of thing with them. Or, it's like, hey, we've been surveying, a lot of law firm in that state. Would you want to get like a copy of the report or some other stuff? Or do you want to participate, like creating a fake, not necessarily a fake actually, but creating a real survey about certain topic that you think are hot in this industry right now that may actually get people engaged. And then, just opening the door. It's like, hey, thanks for that report. Or like, here are the answer to those 3 questions in exchange of the report in 1 month's time. Some stuff like that. I don't know.
What about this? What if you played the local card and you just asked for feedback if there's any accounting service that they feel like they're not getting at the moment? Saying like, hey, you're a local accounting firm, a couple doors down, and you are just really curious if everyone in your neighborhood is completely satisfied with their books. I wonder if that may be a cool idea.
Yeah, totally worth trying. Definitely. Plus, they may be more fun than they look like. So that could be a nice bonus.
So in cold email terms, if you wanted to do the concert or the basketball game tickets, would you just straight up cold email and say,
I'll be probably going to, that's a good question because, I'm blind on this, but it could be either contacting HR and say, hey, are anyone in your team interested in, free tickets for XYZ? We happen to work with a lot of law firm.
That's cool.
And we haven't had a chance to work with your firm yet. So I would just want to have like a small, maybe foot in the door kind of thing. And we do happen, to offer free tickets to some basketball, or we're sponsoring some events.
Wow, yeah. Come to our box. Yeah.
Do you have any fan of this particular team in your company? And if so, happy to give them some tickets. It's just sort of like, door opening.
Good idea.
Just getting the conversation flowing, because even if it's just with HR, they may actually direct you to the right person to talk to informally or some stuff like that. That may actually work better. I don't know. I'm going to have to start from scratch, and it's expected to have a month of trial and error for sure.
But again, a lot of different angles to test out. So I'm happy. I like it. Should we do one more?
Yeah. We've been talking a lot about single-sided market type of thing. It's like, hey, I got one customer type, maybe different avatar, but it's still the same product that I'm trying to sell to some extent.
Right.
Like we say, there's derivative, like I'm selling to an influencer that will then sell my product. But we haven't really talked about, what about those double-sided market? Like I got one side of the market, but I also need to reach to the other side. A typical example that comes to my mind is, for example, headhunters. So headhunters need to get list of clients and list of candidates, and they are playing the middleman here. So let's say, Jack, that you're a headhunter looking for clients and candidates, let's say in a tech space around San Francisco. So let's say it's a very crowded market, lots of people working into that, very difficult to probably getting more candidates. And maybe very difficult to get into some of the companies that have already a lot of hiring processes in place and they don't necessarily accept, agencies. How would you go about cracking that nut? So
this is a double-sided market, is a little bit like chicken and the egg, where you need some candidates in order to attract the companies, and you need some companies to attract the candidates. So for the purpose of this example, let's just say you're up and running, you got some candidates, you got some companies, but you want to grow. You're not coming to me with a brand new company who knows nobody in the Bay Area and is just saying, hey, Jack, help me make $1 million this quarter.
Like me and my law firm.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what I would do. I would do some research and figure out, for the roles that I'm interested in fulfilling, what's the average tenure at a company before someone switches. So let's say the average CTO in San Francisco works at a company on average for 6 years. That would be cool to know, because then I'm going to start building a list of CTOs that have been with their current company for 6 years.
Oh, interesting.
Right. Okay. So now I may have a list of the right person that is statistically looking for a switch. And the next thing I do is pretty straightforward. I really think the list was that's pretty freaking clever, because maybe they are open to a new opportunity at this point. So what I do with this list is I basically say, hey, I make it crazy specific. So it's really just about them. They know that I am contacting Jeremy, not every CTO in the Bay Area. No, I'm going to be extremely personalized in this email, and it'll say something like, hey, I have a new opportunity for CTOs in not even San Francisco. I would probably use the neighborhood in San Francisco that they're currently working at if I wanted to really show them that I'm talking to them. I might have a new opportunity for CTOs in neighborhood in San Francisco who have at least 6 years of experience at the C-level. The opportunity is with like a company that's listed as the top 100 places to work. Oh, and they're offering $250K starting. Would you be open to considering a new opportunity? That's it. That's the yes or no, and that's it. Yeah.
Love it. And bear in mind that at this stage, you don't have any client. You just have candidates. You don't necessarily need to have clients for applying this strategy.
That's true. It certainly helps to have a company who's looking for this role. And really, that's how I would approach it, is use your personal network to find your first one company who's trying to fill a role. That's it. And then this works perfectly. But like you said, in a pinch, yeah, you could use this. I would change the wording a little bit. Like I would say, hey, I may have an opportunity for boom, boom. And that way you're not lying. It's saying you may. And that's a little bit trickier. But for this example, let's pretend just from a personal connection, I was able to land my first company that's hiring me as a headhunter. So thoughts on that? Any comments from your side? Ways to improve it?
I mean, I'm speechless. It's really cool. I do have another idea. So I'm just wondering if you had considered radically different approach in terms of your targeting and offering maybe.
You could reach out to a different group. Like let's say people who are in a CTO position, maybe doing classes for their doctorate. Maybe they're getting an advanced technology degree, master in data science at a San Francisco program that's maybe flexible hours. So you can have your full-time job and you can attend online over the weekend, that kind of thing. That might not be a bad place to go because these are people who are adding new sort of resume builders and are working on climbing the proverbial ladder, I imagine. The only trick would be if they send you people who are interested in job opportunities, you would have to filter them manually, make sure they're a right fit as opposed to just sort of ticking the box and reaching directly out to them.
I love the fact that you're reaching out to the CTO, CEO, after that 6-year stuff. It's really cool. It's interesting because the idea I had was like radically different. I'd like to hear your take on this.
Okay, let me hear it.
Yeah. So I think my approach will actually be to look for the almost opposite, seeing the highest churn company in that area, because I know they will need a lot of people.
Okay. Now, do you mean to work for the company or to pick up their employees who hate it and they're ready to find a new job? Because that's interesting too.
No. For providing this company.
Oh, well, then I don't think I mentioned how I would go after the other side of the market.
Let's hear the other side of the market then, Jack.
So on the other side of the equation, there are companies who are trying to hire these high-level technology roles in San Francisco. So maybe the one thoughtful filter that I could put on these companies is I may go to Glassdoor and find companies that aren't that awesome. Maybe they are having a challenge. Because I imagine Google is pretty good at recruiting people. I imagine the all-star top 100 places to work, they're probably doing all right. So I think it's the companies that don't really have those kind of accolades. In fact, maybe they're not that great, that really could use some outside help. Also, the size of the company will certainly matter because at a certain size, they're probably going to have their not only own HR department, but their own recruiters, their own in-house talent sourcers. So I might make a list of Bay Area companies hiring CTOs that do not have an HR department larger than one. That'd probably be my filter because beyond that, I'm competing internally and that's an uphill battle. So there's my list. And my value prop is fairly straightforward. I'm going to mention that I have a resume with someone who looks like an all-star candidate for the CTO role you're trying to fill. And then parentheses, she worked for a $15 million a year tech star company for the last 6 years as CTO. Are you open to working with recruiters? If yes, let me know and I'll email you her resume. Now, the caveat, I don't know if this is a thing in the recruiting industry, but I would send the resume as promised, but I would just block out the name and contact details. I don't know. Is that slimy?
Well, that's interesting because surprise, you guys are probably going to learn something from me, but I actually did have my company starting as a recruitment company.
Wow, even I didn't know that.
It was a long time before QuickMail, and we managed to place one person. But the thing
Nice.
that we were doing was to effectively first have a written and signed contract before we can provide them with candidates. So at least we were covered.
I see. So to me, I don't like that as a value prop as much just because I'm thinking, okay, what can I do that's going to be very difficult to say no to? And I'm thinking, hey, if you're open to working with a recruiter, I'll just email you her resume. Should I send it over? To me, that's all right. I mean, I might reply if the right opportunity happens, we may be interested. And then dialogue ensues. If the candidate really is as good as I say, then I may have a deal in the pipeline.
Well, Jack, things are slow in Switzerland, so I guess it's okay. It may be different in America, but at the end of the day, I think this is great. It's like, hey, are you open to work with recruiter? If so, let me know where I can send the contract. And as soon as this is signed up, I'll be like more than happy to send you the 3 top candidates that I have for this role. Something like that.
Oh, that's almost going for the kill. Like, should I send you this contract to sign over in email 1? I mean,
but I take this assumption that before they're working with recruiter, they have to sign a contract and they know it, right? So it's not like a new thing. It's like, okay, if we are willing to open. The other thing that you can ask is like, effectively, are you open to work with contractor? And if so, what are the terms and conditions? Or do you have any terms and conditions, or shall I send all ones? Something like that to make it very easy. And again, if that person is struggling, like, you've done your targeting well enough, they'll be more than happy to do through one hoop in order to get access to this potential great candidate. I like that you're going premium on this actually, and not like scrapey, like very low key entry junior kind of type.
Right. I think that makes a difference. And did you have anything to add to this scenario? Any other ideas or approaches on your side?
Yeah, I was also thinking, and maybe that's partly because my own company is remote, but I was also thinking finding San Francisco 2 models. The first one is company that are growing like widely. Look at LinkedIn, see the number of employee growth in the last 6 months, because chances are that they're going to accept a lot of people and I have more chances of placing my candidates maybe.
Okay.
The other thing is that they may actually also struggle with getting enough people from that place and therefore maybe more open to remote workers. So it's like, hey, I got some great all-star. The only thing they're working remotely. Would you actually consider working with remote candidates? And that's one thing, because I think that's also a big advantage for companies in Silicon Valley. It's like they'd be willing to pay a lot of money and therefore maybe slightly less for even remote employees. So therefore, the remote employee will be really well off because everyone will benefit from that relationship, like a little bit less on salary, but still super high on salary for the candidates.
Interesting. So would you filter by companies that are currently hiring, let's say CTO? Well, I don't know if CTOs can be virtual. Would you make sure that the company on the job description said virtual work okay?
Not necessarily, but what I could be doing is checking if they have already some employee virtual. So an easy way to do that is just to check their list of employees and just see where they're located. Simple as that.
On LinkedIn.
So if they have like quite a lot of employees located everywhere, then maybe that's something that, they'd be open to. And if not, at least I will learn something. Like maybe those companies actually are not struggling because they go remote, or I don't know. That's things to experiment with.
Exactly. And I think that's the theme of this cast is there's a lot of different angles, approaches, experiments to run, just thinking through the value prop and who it is that you're contacting. Those are probably the 2 biggest areas for dramatically, hockey stick graph for improving your reply rates, probably.
There you go.
Okay.
Well, Jack, great cast.
Great cast, Jeremy. Awesome. Here are the takeaways from this massive hour-long 2-part growth chat on value propositions. First, get creative when you're deciding who you should reach out to and what value props you can offer. Think about Jeremy's examples about reaching out to universities with a free software tool for students in case you want more inspiration. Next, work the local card into your value prop whenever possible to easily get more replies. Next, if you need more inspiration, drum up ways to offer your product or service as a gift to the right prospects, like the churn consultant who offered a free but reputable quick fix call. Always think about your sales ROI instead of the cost associated. A couple more here. Next one, list matters. You want to refine your list by thinking about who is currently paying for this or who needs this right now. Consider my targeting example with British Airways for companies that are already traveling to certain cities and the CTO who's been working at a company for 6 years and may be ready for the next opportunity. Finally, and most importantly, to know if you have a strong value proposition in your cold email. Ask yourself, is this hard to say no to? If yes, you're on the right track. Send us an email to podcast@quickmail.io to let us know what's your favorite format. Is it a teardown? Is it a rapid fire episode? Or is it a growth chat like the 2-part series you listened to just now? Hey, cold emailer.
Yeah, you.
If you got some value from this episode, give us a high vibe by sharing a 2-sentence review on iTunes.
Or Stitcher, or TuneIn. That works too.
It's a quick way to help other growth-minded folks like us find this podcast
so they can send awesome emails
and make everyone's inbox a better place.